Okay, so we are kind of in between a bit of a period here on Dokkan Battle with the anniversary going on. We have a little bit to wait for some content and just kind of like what units are EZAing next. It's like kind of one of those things where it's a little bit of a lull, but it's also not, because we are in like one of the busier times of the year. So I figured what would be a better time to do this than now, in between kind of part 1 and part 2 of the anniversary. We're going to be looking at the Dokkan OSTs for units, and you know, we've kind of reached a point in this game where there's so many different like versions for OSTs. They do OSTs for all these different mechanics, for active skills, for introductions, for the new standby mechanic, for revivals, for all different types of things, right? For game modes, boss fights. There's just so many different versions that it would be impossible to kind of get every single unit in the game, every single one in every single OST that's around, and put them on a list, right? But what I'm going to do is kind of go over about 14 or so OSTs that I'm a really big fan of. Again, let's just preface this with kind of like the cookie cutter stuff. It's my opinion. Obviously, you can disagree, but let's not be too hostile about it. You guys might be surprised with who's number 1 right off the bat, but I guess we'll kind of see as we go, right? Gonna be a lot of the kind of the basic stuff, but let's go ahead and hop into our honorable mentions. And the first one, this one might come as a surprise to you guys, but it is going to be the Carnival Goku, more specifically his revival skill. I think this is a really good OST, but I do think it's a little bit overrated. You know, and I say overrated in a sense where it's like it's not number 1 in the game for me, but it's also not bad, right? So it's like I like to listen to it, but I feel like I hear it a lot when I'm using Carnival Goku, and I'm just kind of like not the biggest fan of it. So it's just okay to me, but I do like it. So let's move into our number 2 spot for the honorable mentions, and that is Gamma 2. Now, Gamma 2, I really like his introduction OST. It's just kind of a cool thing. You know, you got the little gun spin animation and all that fun stuff, but you also have a nice one with the music on in the background. But what I kind of noticed this, you know, I was telling this when I was making the list with the people I'm talking to, but I remember hearing this in one of Mass Ningen's streams and hearing like the OST in the back. I'm like, whose OST is this? I didn't really recognize it. And I figured out it was Gamma 2's, and I was like, I was really feeling it. So Gamma 2 coming in at our 2nd spot. Now, for the 3rd honorable mention, this one is going to be Physical Janemba, and more specifically, Physical Janemba's Rage Mode OST. You know, you think about the thing where he goes into like the giant form. You know, it's like he's not really doing any damage, but I'm really a sucker for like the guitar stuff. You'll kind of see that on the list as we go. There's like the heavy metal kind of vibe that comes with it, the menacing atmosphere that comes with this OST. I'm a big fan of it. You know, you see this, you see Janemba get all mad, you see him like bring out the sword and laugh at it. It's time to go. And with that, you have this OST playing with like some really good looking animations within the game. Voice crack when I was doing that, but you know, you got a really cool 18 key, a really cool 12 key when you're doing that. But there you guys go. Physical Janemba coming in at our 3rd honorable mention. And then to round out the honorable mentions, we have STR Blue Gogeta. If I could find him on the list here. I know I have him in here, I just gotta find him. There's a lot of units here, you guys can probably see that, but here we go. So STR Blue Gogeta, from obviously him transforming. I'm a big fan of that OST. It's kind of like one of those ones where you just see it so much that you kind of get like desensitized to how good it is. Like, and especially if you played with these guys during the 5-year before they kind of aged off, you probably know what I'm talking about, where it's just like you've heard this one so many times to the point where it's just kind of like nauseating to listen to at some point. Like, it's going to be the same case. I'll kind of spoil a little bit, but the LR gods, when they go into their blue mode, I heard that so many times in the last Red Zone stream that I did, because I was live for like 7 hours, and I was using them in like every Red Zone stage, so I just heard that OST so much. Like, I'm just sick of it, right? So it's staying off the list, but it is a good OST nonetheless. But let's go ahead and hop into the actual list. And so now we're getting into our number 10 spot. And this is the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's active skill. Now, the animation itself is still one of, if not the best in the game, but the OST for it has gone down a few notches. I can't really tell you guys why, but if you know, you know. But this is a really good OST that encapsulates like kind of like the Big Bang attack and the combination of Goku and Vegeta really well, in my opinion. You know, you see the animation with Goku doing one thing on the side and Vegeta on the other coming together to be Gogeta. I think that is really cool. Like, you know, this was like a consensus, like, best animation in the game when we saw it. Everybody's like, this is insane. Dokkan cooked with this one. Like, how's it going to get any better than this, right? So I'd say Physical Gogeta is definitely a strong number 10. I'd probably have him closer to like 6 or 7 probably on my list, but again, knocked down for a very specific reason that I can't talk about. So let's go ahead and move into our number 9 spot. And now this is going to be the OST for, I forget what the specific instance is. I think it's just like their first one of their active skills or something like that, but I know it's this let me hold on, I'm gonna cut real quick and let me just make sure I have the right OST so I don't mess this up. All right, just had to quickly clarify there, but it is the standby skill OST. It's not when he launches the Spirit Bomb, but it's him going up to do the Spirit Bomb. I'm a really big fan of this. I think it has a nice like drop in between, like after like the first like 10 seconds or whatever. It kind of goes nicely, and then the atmosphere around, just like one of the more iconic moments in Dragon Ball, you know, the Spirit Bomb, one of Goku's few techniques he uses to officially get rid of an enemy, right? We think about that in the Dragon Fist, because the Kamehameha, it takes him out or it doesn't. It's not really used as lethally as a Spirit Bomb or a Dragon Fist, but you know, Vegeta giving the speech and all that and like trying to like distract the enemy. It's like, all right, it's time to go. You got a minute or whatever. I can buy you that minute. I'll be very interested to see how they do the English version of that. But, you know, I'd say that this is a really good OST. So it's cracking the top 10 for sure. So, you know, look at all these OSTs. Like if I say a unit is a top 10 OST in the game, it's better than all of these, right? Like it's a very high praise to say it's a top 10 in the game, right? And there's just so many good ones that are also not on this list. But again, I said honorable mentions. If I want to quickly just kind of clarify and throw a bunch in, now that I'm kind of doing this on the fly, right? But we'll throw him in there. I'm a big fan of that OST. The morale boost on him is really good. Where's another one? I just saw him and I lost him. It's BoJack Movie Gohan. That's where I'm going. But like you guys can see, like all of these honorable mentions are in here. I feel very strongly about these OSTs as well. You probably hear these in the background of my videos all the time, but these ones in specific, of course, I don't know if you can hear that, but the sirens in the back. You know how it goes when you live in the city. All right, let's continue to move here. Coming in at number 8, we have our boys Godku and Hit. Now, this is one of the more unique LRs in the game, kind of overshadowed by the fact that they are joined forces. And when you do a Saiyan with a time-skipping assassin, you already know the categories are going to be a bit shafted. So you kind of know that this one wasn't going to get a ton of good categories and be like a crazy unit, but we're not here to talk about the kit. We're here to talk about the OST, and that, in fact, is one of my favorite. I really do like this OST a lot. The kind of the guitars that are going with it. You know, it's a lot of this is just guitars, really, when we think about how the OST goes. And there's obviously drums and whatnot, but there's some unique ones. And that just reminded me to throw another one on the honorable mention. The flutes of Tapion and Minosha are very, very good. But God, Goku, and Hit, I'd say it's unique, and it kind of you know, surrounds the vibe that we want, where we have a very unique kind of LR, a long overdue like joined forces unit that we just still didn't have in the game, but we have it now. So let's go ahead and move on to our number 7 spot. So coming in at number 7, I have Tech Goku and Vegeta's Fusion, the active skill that comes with that. This is one of those OSTs where you saw this with the animation preview and you're like, I gotta have this unit, right? Like this is one of those rare instances where it's just like the animations and music alone is just like enough to sell me. It's like, I don't care how bad these guys suck, I need to have this unit, right? And that's what kind of happened here. Just kind of like everything going along, like the synchronization between that and the animation, kind of like the galaxy, like you can almost like see it with all the stars zoomed out, and just the way he kind of comes together and starts talking to Janemba, and you got like the whole music going in the background. I'm just a really big fan of this one. It's kind of got like that vibe. It's very similar to that of like Int Namek Goku's active skill, I'd say. It's just like a different version of that. But, you know, they really killed it on the base form Goku and Vegeta units, that with him and STR Vegito. Spoiler alert, STR Vegito's on here. So I'd say that animation, that OST is really good because it goes along really well with kind of the unit that we have. Coming in at our number 6 spot, again, we have something where we talked about how well that the OST kind of went along with the unit. We have that again with Int Merge Zamasu's active skill. Now, I like his intro because it reminds me of Goku Black's theme from the actual anime, but his active skill really just gets going with kind of like the guitar and all that stuff. It's really like a menacing theme. It's got that kind of dark atmosphere and tone to it. And it's like, you know that this guy's coming to mess something up, right? I try to say that as clean as possible for YouTube, right? But you kind of get the idea that it's like, all right, things are going down. We got fire going in the background on the art. We got lightning going everywhere. We got his angel halo. We got like a phoenix in the art on the top. And you got this badass kind of like guitar going on in the back with it. I really like, I'm a sucker for this OST and this unit overall. I really like how they handled this Int Merge Zamasu's OST, specifically on the active skill. Let's go ahead and hop into our number 5 spot. Now, this one might be kind of like the first real surprise of the list. This is like a really biased answer for me, but it's going to be Tech Janemba's OST. This is one where I find myself continuously coming back to over time. Like, I don't really listen to Dokkan OSTs in my free time, but this is one where I'll occasionally come back and be like, oh yeah, I like this one a lot, right? And, you know, just to kind of like not sound like a broken record, I just think that, I'm not going to talk about the guitars, but you guys know that's why I like it. But it's that metal influence, right? It's the same thing that with Physical Janemba. I just think this one is just kind of more catchy and easier to listen to, because like the one with Physical Janemba is just like really heavy, and this one isn't quite as bad. It's got a little more rhythm to it. It's also got more of like a modern thing where it's like, I don't want to like, you know, embarrass myself trying to sing it, but it's got like kind of like that more digital sound to it, and I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like the how do I do this, right? It's got more of like the electronic kind of sounds coming out. I'm not really a big music guy, as you can tell, right? But I really like how this OST came out and the transformation. We're going from like Fat Janemba kind of being like this goofy looking character to like this end game, like things are about to get real type of boss that the final form of Janemba is. I think that this OST did a really good job of capturing like the dread and the overall kind of tone that came with that unit, right? So Tech Janemba coming in at my number 5 spot. Let's move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, I have Int Namek Goku's active skill. You guys knew this was going to be on here. You fool, Bakayato, whatever you want to say it is. The only thing that's really goofy about this one to me is the fact that the enemy sprite looks really stupid. Usually, like it's like this 144p quality sprite flying at you when you got like this beautiful active skill coming from Namek Goku. But this is just one of those OSTs that is really, when you think about it, is as good as it gets with the moment that it covers and stuff like that. This is one of the most anticipated animations within the game's history, and I would say that the active skill, or the OST that came along with it, also delivered in a high sense, right? This is one of those ones where you rarely get to see it because it's against extreme class enemies and a certain HP threshold, but aside from that, it just makes it way more exciting when you do see it because it's that good, right? But, you know, I'd say it's a borderline top 3, but I have it at 4 because I just think there's 3 OSTs I prefer more to that. But let's go ahead and move into our next spot. Coming in at number 3, I have STR Vegito. So, you know, we talked earlier about how Tech Vegito looked really good. STR Vegito's OST has aged really well. Like, we're talking about an OST that dropped in 2020, and we are now in 2023 when I'm doing this, after some yearly anniversary LRs came out with their OST. But STR Vegito just continues to find a way onto these lists. So this is just one of those really good OSTs. The the vibe, the atmosphere that it creates. You already know that the big boy is coming out. We are ready to see some 3 million crit counters and all that fun stuff. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we could be looking at hearing this OST a whole lot more here in a couple weeks when we get that potential easy A for this guy. But STR Vegito coming in at a solid number 3 spot, but I think there's just 2 OSTs I prefer to that. Coming in at number 2, I have the standby OST for the the GT Goku and Vegeta. I really kind of like the beginning, like the sad tone of it that immediately kind of turns into a more like, all right, it's time to get real kind of thing with Vegeta beginning to talk with the voice acting from Vegeta. You know, you really just know you're having a super important kind of like, for lack of a better term, like a battle of fate is about to happen. And, you know, you have Vegeta showing up, you got Gohan, you got Goten, you got, who else is in there? I think you got Trunks. There's one more I'm forgetting. It's probably Oob or something, but, you know, you got all the guys around there, you're ready to go. Goku's in the back with the Spirit Bomb, and you also have like a really good song going along with this. I would almost argue, I might say I prefer this order. I'd probably say I like that a little bit better, to be honest, but number 1 I think is going to throw you for a loop, and I swear it's not bait. Coming in at number 1, we have a lot of OSTs here. We have, I don't even know how to do this, right? We got 8-year LRs right down here. We got Orange Piccolo. We got Beast Gohan, allegedly. We got Cooler's intro. We got the active skill for Carnival Goku. Number 1, he trumps all of them. We got the active skill for this guy, these guys down here. Number 1, Tech Jiren. Now, I know this list looks goofy out of context, but Tech Jiren's OST is absolutely my favorite. When I think of a unit that perfectly embodies what a character is meant to be, I think of what Tech Jiren is, right? We think about big, we think about bad, we think about strong, we think about big numbers, we think about a menace, we think about a demon. You think about Tech Jiren. We talk about that super effective against all types when the enemy is stunned, I think it is. All the kind of things that he's got going on, the big numbers that we saw. You know, this guy was just an absolute like showstopper in terms of the attack numbers that he was putting up and the defensive numbers that he had just like freely during Tanabata during 2020. And I think that this OST still is my favorite in the game. Again, this is like, when you think about like how tier lists for, especially for OSTs, it's just so to the individual, where kits, like there's really nothing here that you could be like, okay, which unit is the best, right? Obviously we got the 8-year LRs, so let's go ahead and slap them up there. But just like when you think about all of these OSTs, I just think this one kind of trumps over all of them with the objective that the OST had to come out. It's like, you know, like, because that when this OST comes out, that attack stat's going to get really high. The key's getting higher. Everything is just up to another level with that Jiren. It's quite the upgrade, right? So let me know what you guys think down below of this list. I'm sure that there's going to be a decent bit of discourse about Jiren being at number 1, but overall I'd say that he's my favorite OST in the game. So again, let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy, and subscribe if you are new, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of my other tier lists that I do. I might start uploading these a little bit more on my channel rather than just covering them for 5.9. We'll see, but again, do all the things I told you to do, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.